few moments' time, we're going to be talking about you, particularly ladies. You know, have you perhaps a little bit of a weak bladder? You know, you perhaps might get a bit of leakage when you're laughing, or perhaps you sneeze or you jump up and down. Maybe it's, you know, become an issue after becoming a mother, or you just, you know, sort of age. Have you found it can affect your social life too, stopping you from perhaps going out? Well, should we talk about it now? Because pelvic floor exercises apparently are the way to go. One woman from Harborough has decided to create her own kit to help you with this. Her name's Julie Colan. She joins me on the programme now. I remember meeting you a few months ago, Julie, you know, talking about this on my programme. You'd sort of, you know, created this Kegel exercises, right? These weights that you've got, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. But so much has happened to you in that time, hasn't it? Yeah. We'll find out what sort of things have been going on. But just explain what these exercises are.
Okay, so they're called Kegel exercises. So basically, it's whenever you contract your pelvic floor. So if you think about your pelvic floor as like a hammock that holds up your uterus, your bowel and your bladder. And if you don't look after and strengthen these muscles, what happens is your organs can start to protrude down through your vagina because it's weakened, which can happen with being overweight, childbirth and the menopause. So a lot of women think they get to around 35, 40, have had no issues, think this is great, and then all of a sudden they've got issues because they weren't aware, they haven't been educated that the menopause can bring on a weakening of the pelvic floor as well.
Didn't know that, see? Didn't know that bit. Yeah. So that's something I've got to look forward to now and now as well. You know, so you kind of decided to do something about it, right?
Well, listen, it was last year I knew I was turning 40 the following year, which I've just turned, and I thought, right, my pelvic floor is great, but I was aware that with the menopause I could have a high chance of having an issue, and I thought there's no way this is happening to me. So I couldn't find any product that I was happy with. It just wasn't suitable. So I thought, right, I'll just design my own. And while I was doing this, I came across so many women who kept saying to me, but Julie, it's normal after a child. It's normal to weigh yourself and have a lifetime of incontinence pads. So that got me on a mission then. And most of those same women are now pad free. It's education, it's understanding, it's a muscle, and you need to look after it, you need to exercise it. So with my little weights, if you think about them as a little weighted tampon, so it's a 6-step program, and it gradually and safely increases the weights over a period of time. So every 2 weeks you increase it. So they're just little weights that you pop in and you do your Kegel exercises, and what they do is they exercise your pelvic floor, and the results have been absolutely amazing. Women who have been told they needed surgery now don't need surgery. So this is what it's all about. This is why I'm so passionate. It's just getting the information out there, the education to women, and just think about it as a muscle. Any other muscle, it needs to be exercised.
It is. I mean, it looks strange because it's like two little balls and you know, a little bit of a tail at the end. Yeah. And so you insert that like you perhaps would a tampon.
Well, for a tampon, it's just a little weighted device for your pelvic floor, and when it's worn, it engages the correct pelvic floor muscles. That's the whole beauty about it. A lot of women thought they were doing their Kegels correctly and weren't having any success. After wearing these, the correct muscles are engaged and they're seeing the results.
And this is what? Is this something that you've sort of designed yourself?
No, I've came across them, but I ensured the ones that I had found were, let's say, very cheap quality. So I ensured that mine were made with medically graded silicone. And there's no porous areas, so they're completely hygienic. And it even comes with a little silk pouch, so you can bring them with you to your yoga class, your Pilates class, even the gym. So I do my 5K run when I wear mine. I do my yoga class once a week when I wear mine. I have a lot of the mums doing their school walks when they wear theirs. So there's really no excuse not to be doing them.
Yeah, I mean, but what's wrong with simply sort of doing, you know, pelvic floor exercises that you're always told, you know, if you sort of stop your wee midway through and things like that? What?
Absolutely nothing. Just make sure you're doing them every single day. That's my thing. But with these, it's an extra resistance, so it's more like little weightlifting for your pelvic floor. So it gives that extra bit of effort included there. And like I say, a lot of women thought they were doing their Kegels correctly. They were doing them incorrectly. So these will ensure you engage the correct muscles.
Amazing. What sort of, so you've had, I mean, you've clearly had a good result from, the women that have used them. But not only that, in terms of what you're doing, it's sort of attracted business people and awards, nominations for awards and things like that as well, Julie.
It's been phenomenal, honestly. It started in February when I was put forward for the FSB Awards, and I was put forward for 2 of those in 2 different regions.
What's FSB?
Federation of Small Business. Okay. They're rather large. And straight away finalist and for both awards. And this has been up against hundreds, if not thousands, of other businesses. And then straight after that, there was another 2 finalists that I got awarded for in the Women's Who Awards. And recently, actually it was last week, I got a commendation award from the Women's Who for international category. And then I'm finalist in the Niche Awards. And then most recently, which really has blown my mind, the IOD Awards, Institute of Directors, which is very, very big. And they announced last week that I am a finalist in the Director of the Year Startup Business. And that's next week. So it's just been amazing. It just shows how much of a topic this is and people want to talk about it. And it's just, the support has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and no doubt, sort of women all over Leicestershire and Rutland and probably further afield are thinking, yay, I found something that's going to work.
It's just talking about it. I am happy to stand up and talk about it. It is a taboo subject, and this is the issue. Women are afraid to talk about it. They're embarrassed. And I'm saying it is not anything to be ashamed of. What is shameful is the education that women aren't getting. That is the point I want to get across. And to let them know that they have got options. You can do your Kegel exercise, you can do the weights. Just do these before you ever think of any surgery. That's my main thing, because I've seen women who've been told they needed surgery after using my kit don't need surgery. Again, it's getting their education and the awareness out there. And the other big thing is, if a lady has a child and they develop incontinence, the likelihood of them developing postnatal depression more than doubles. And people aren't aware of this. And again, it's getting that out there. And again, people who've had hysterectomies haven't been told that they need to do Kegels. And then they end up getting prolapses. And they're angry, saying, well, why didn't anybody tell me this? Why haven't I been told?
So have you spoken to sort of medical professionals?
I have.
And what sort of comments have you had back?
Very positive. And this was I'd done my first ever event a couple of weeks ago in Nottingham, and there was a few thousand women attended, and many had turned up just to speak to me. And the first 2 women through the door who bought my product were gynecology nurses. Now that speaks volumes in itself. And I had a talk, and it was a full room, and I even had some men in there, and there was men with their wives wanting to know exactly how these worked and how they could support their wives, which was absolutely amazing. And men wanted to know how to do their Kegels as well, because men is exactly the same concept.
So, okay. So men need to be doing the same thing.
Of course
then.
They do, yeah.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Of course they need to be doing them, yeah. They need to be doing them. So it's the same thing. So if you're doing a Kegel exercise, imagine you're holding in wind and weight at the same time. It's that clenching pull-up movement. And you do sets of 10. And it's equally important that you relax afterwards as well. Always envisage it as a muscle. That is what it is. So you work it out and you relax it.
So exercise it like any other part of your body that you would do. Look, you're doing really well as far as the product is concerned. How do people find out more about Secret Whispers?
So you can find me on secretwhispers.co.uk. And whenever you do buy the kit, it comes with a large free ebook which explains everything about the pelvic floor, lots and lots of different recommended exercises. And again, there's a closed group I have where women can talk in private about any issues they have. And again, you've got access to myself, and I'll help in any way that I can.
All right, Julie, thanks ever so much for chatting to me
today,
and all the very best. It looks like you're, definitely going places and, turning heads and sort of helping people as well.
That's it. That's the main thing.
Thanks very much indeed for joining me on the programme this morning, Julie Kern from Secret Whispers here on BBC Radio Leicester.